The Tale of Pip and the Perfect Blueberry. In the roots of the mossy oak tree, where the earth smelled like damp secrets and old leaves, lived a mouse named Pip. Pip was small, even for a mouse. His ears were like pink petals, his tail like a delicate thread, and his biggest wish was to be big. Big enough to reach the juicy blackberries on the high bush, big enough not to be startled by his own shadow, big enough to, well, seem important. Every morning, Pip sighed, looking at his breakfast crumbs. Too small, he'd whisper. He'd watch his braver cousins scamper along the hawthorn hedge. Too small, he'd sigh again, clutching his squeaky toy acorn for comfort. One dewy morning, a glorious sparkle caught Pip's eye. Right there, nestled in the dew-speckled clover near the edge of woodpecker clearing, was the biggest, bluest blueberry he had ever seen. It glowed like a tiny sapphire moon. His tiny heart did a somersault. "That's mine," he squeaked. It was perfect. Big enough to impress everyone. Big enough to finally feel big himself. With a determined flick of his thread tail, Pip scurried towards his prize. He was halfway across the clearing, puffing with effort, when, caw! A vast shadow swooped over him. Glossy black Clarence, the crow, landed heavily nearby, beady eyes scanning the ground. Pip froze, pressed flat against the cool earth. Too small to fight. Too small to run without being seen. He squeezed his acorn tight, holding his breath until Clarence strutted away, disappointed. On Pip went. He scrambled over a thick root, slid down a mossy slope, and almost reached the berry. But then... ouch! He tumbled headfirst into a thicket of thistle twins, two enormous, prickly plants with arms like green spears. He was tangled. Too small to push through. Tiny tears pricked his eyes. He almost gave up. But the blueberry's glow pulsed like a promise. Wiggling and maneuvering his squeaky acorn just right, he managed to lever himself free, leaving only one tiny tuft of fur behind. Almost there. Just across Pebble Creek. Pip took a running jump. Splash! He landed shin-deep in the chilly water. The current tried to tug him downstream. He felt impossibly small against the chuckling water. He struggled, tiny paws slipping on smooth stones. His precious acorn started to slip from his grasp. As the cold water swirled, Pip suddenly knew he couldn't hold on to fear and his prize. His squeaky acorn, his shield against the world, was weighing him down. With a determined gulp, Pip let it go. The little acorn bobbed away downstream. Freed of its weight, Pip pushed off with all his might. Grip. Pull. Kick. He scrambled onto the far bank, dripping and shivering, but victorious. He stood right beside the magnificent blueberry. It was enormous. Bigger than his head. He hugged it, smelling the sweet tart promise. But how to get it home? It was too heavy. Pip thought hard. He could roll it. With tiny pushes, grunts, and well-timed shoves from his now unburdened paws, Pip nudged the mighty blueberry. He rolled it around Crow Corner, keeping low, navigated the thistle twins carefully, and coaxed it across the edge of Pebble Creek. He even used his thread-like tail to gently lasso it over a final bump. Back under the roots of the mossy oak, Pip presented the glorious berry to his family. His cousins gasped. His mother beamed. "Pip! How brave you were! How clever and strong!" As Pip shared the sweetest, juiciest blueberry he'd ever tasted, it tasted extra good. A warm feeling, bigger than he'd ever known, filled him. He wasn't the littlest mouse anymore. He was Pip who found the giant berry. Pip who outsmarted the crow and the thistles. Pip who crossed the creek. His mother nuzzled him, whispering, "My dear Pip, you might be small of body, but today, you proved your courage is as vast as the sky." The biggest things often come from the smallest places. Later, snuggled in his moss bed, Pip smiled. He didn't feel small anymore. He felt just the right size, Pip-sized, and perfectly able to find his own perfect berries. And somewhere downstream, a little squeaky acorn washed ashore, ready for another small adventurer who might discover that letting go of fear sometimes makes room for something much sweeter. The end.